Hello and welcome back to the Flight Ready podcast. I'm LoudGuns and I'm joined by Master Ben. Say hi, Master Ben.
Hi, Master Ben.
There we go. Always a classic, never unfunny. So today we are on episode 7 of the Flight Ready podcast, and we're going to be roadmap watchers, which I know CIG love. So the roadmap for 4.2.1 and 4.3. I should probably say release view, shouldn't I? Shouldn't I, Ben? I'm going to get told off for my lack of
The
lexicon
roadmap is,
surrounding the roadmap.
yeah, roadmap's a very different area.
But really, we're looking at the release view for the upcoming patches for 4.2.1, which should be out any time now. If I were a betting man, I would probably be looking at when the free fly ends. I think that's running until the 14th of July, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I would imagine shortly after that we'll get 4.2.1, and then sometime into the future we'll be getting 4.3, which definitely of the two, I would say 4.3 is more tasty, but it should be because it's a whole new patch number. So yeah, it's. But how have you been enjoying 4.2, Ben? We should probably focus a little bit on that before we move on too much.
What's been going on in 4.2? I feel like putting a worm in any game is an incredibly good idea and has. Do you know what? It's gone to the point where I feel like in the past I've sometimes started to get burnt out by bugs and just issues in the game. Whereas now there is so much content, it's like overwhelming. Of oh my god, I feel like I always need to be on to get. I need more teeth. I need more teeth from this thing.
Yeah.
So it's just been amazing. You know the addition of this is a niche thing, but the addition of the Volt shotgun I think is really cool. It's
Mhm.
introduced fun mechanics with the overheating, which don't come across as often as some of the other areas. It's been really nice, but I mean, reality, it's all about the worm, and it is probably the event I've had the most fun on. It has got a few issues, which I know we touched on last week on some areas where it needs to be improved a bit with just the relentless respawning on site. But 4.2, it's a winner patch for me. So few bugs, just love it, absolutely love it.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. And there's stuff which I've been doing some salvaging recently because I just want to get the whole suite of guides at the ready. But trying to find time to go out and make a guide while there's a bunch of people pulling you in lots of different directions, like come do some mining, come do some Hathor, come do some worm. It's yeah, it's a nice problem to have, having too much content to get around. Not a problem we've had too much in Star
Yeah,
Citizen before. And I guess, as we'll come on to in this episode, it's probably a problem that's going to get worse uh, or better, depending on what your frame of mind is at any given time. So I guess we'll start looking at 4.2.1. These patch numbers really roll off the tongue, don't they?
they're just so fluid. And I think it's good they add a like a catchphrase to each one, so you can really talk about it that way. Or but
Hmm.
actually, no, they don't do that, do they? So no, it's
No,
always 4.2.1. So yeah,
exactly,
really hope you've all got your maths degrees.
absolutely. But I think the key thing there is the resource initiative. I hope I've got that terminology right and remembered it. This is almost like a continuation of the theme that we saw from Supply or Die in the earlier part of the year. So I think the basic outline is that you'll get some competition between the four factions within the Stanton system. And Microtech, ArcCorp, Hurston, and Crusader are all competing for the same resources. So I think those are going to be copper, corundum, and titanium. And it's basically a whole suite of
Rundgren.
missions. Yeah, corundum. I might be wrong. I could be wrong. You've got the face on that says I'm definitely wrong on
It's a
that.
great name. Sorry, that's going to be
Corundum.
a catch.
Oh no, is that just going to be my mispronunciation probably of one of the materials? So yeah, they're in competition and they want us to bring them. I think we've got a variety of different missions which include ways to get these materials, but then also you can do it freely and take different approaches. So I think mining's going to be on the cards, but so's probably loot and shoot, sort of taking on bounty missions and such, and ignoring all the really expensive drugs and instead just making off with the base tier 3 metals as you normally do. However, the payouts are not very good. Basically, what payouts? Because I think they've learned the lessons from Supply or Die, and I can't help but think of it. It's a bit Goldilocks and the Three Bears. They started out with Supply or Die, setting all the rewards way too high.
Too high, yeah.
But now is this the one where they are set way too low? Because
Yeah.
I can't help but think that we need the little bear's porridge, frankly. But do you think because there's a lot of other rewards, things like skins, ship paints, armors. Do you think those are going to be enough to get people really engaged with this?
I think there are two types of people. There are the people who have enough time to actually make their credits elsewhere in other manners, just normal salvage, normal mining, or PvP or whatever, and then they'll go to this event as a bit of fun. They won't really care about the money. It's a bit almost like a Hunt the Polaris, where you knew it was never about the money; it was about the rewards that went alongside. And then there'll be the people who perhaps don't have as many ships in their accounts, or maybe just want to purchase more things, who won't have the amount of time to grind for credits, and then suddenly grind for locked rewards, shall we say. So more understands where you have to pick one faction and roll with that faction, so you can only get one set of the rewards. Are we correct in saying that?
I thought you could do them all. Don't quote me on it.
Do them all.
I thought you could do them all and therefore look for all the paints and all the rewards that way.
Okay. Yeah, because I know that was a big bit of feedback on the first Supply or Die, as people sort of said, you're sort of locking me out of getting two of the three sets of paints from day one. So yeah, I think that's quite a good change, but it comes back to the age of the problem of just time is the commodity you're going to have to sacrifice on. Maybe you just don't have enough time to purchase new ships in the game, and I think because of I don't want to go too much into the funding model, but because you always have the option of, hey, well, if you don't have the time to grind the ship and it's on the pledge store, buddy, you just go over there. You've suddenly got a two-tiered economy, don't you, of what people have or what people can do. So it does need to be balanced, absolutely, because in the past it's sort of a shame when the whole game grinds to a halt and everyone just does one event because it is the absolute driver for all profits in the land. But you need to reward every player. How do you do that? Like, how on earth do you find that balance? I just really don't know if there is one, really.
I mean, I personally think you find the balance around 5k in SEU, but like that's maybe just me. Like I think there's something. You know what I mean? If I'm viewing it from a mining perspective, like copper, things like copper and titanium, the base metals, they are easier to come by, and you have a better chance of picking up full 100% pieces of it. So I think when it's this sort of gameplay, this sort of like go and get these resources and bring them here. If you price them down towards the lower end or just below the tier 1 mats, like gold, then from a purely mining balance perspective, you've created something a bit more tenable, I think, in terms of payout. The issue with Supply or Die was they were paying something like 50k in SCU, which was twice as much as Quantanium, which explodes when you mine it, and you're typically getting a very messy break. So yeah, it was decidedly turned up too high on Supply or Die, but I think this knee jerk has turned it down too low for economic incentive, at least. But I do think there is an incentive to be had, even if it's not cash. There's maybe people perceive these to be of higher value because these are account tied. Yeah, we all know we're going to get wiped, but you can't wipe what's on my account. So, and obviously ship paints are always nice, but actually maybe more useful is having sets of armor that you can use on your account that are always there from day one. That's quite a useful thing to have in cold storage, knowing that you load the game up on day one and that's going to be there all the way up until live. So
yeah, it's a really nice area, and I think as the mission system as a whole, this was one of my favorite things from the days of Elite Dangerous. Of you have these factions who own different parts of space, and I mean, in that game, the more rep you build with that faction, you unlock the ability to purchase sort of unique armor. So, is it
Hmm.
Palisade Shield? Something like that was the one to go for all your PvP needs, or at least PvE. I wasn't great at that, but it's great to see that sort of system where actually people do have to work together. I'm really looking forward to seeing hopefully some community driven sort of artwork or groups that actually bond around just getting copper or just just supporting Hurston or whatever,
Hmm.
to really sort of push that initiative along. And you know the UI, I think the Mobiglass UI has been getting so much better ish when it works recently. We saw that great panel in CitizenCon about their other ideas of how we can sort of improve it even further. This could be a great opportunity to actually push it further forward. Really sort of if you could see like a live timed update of how much is being deposited, even maybe at the end get an idea of what region gave the most sort of areas.
Yeah.
It'd be really cool. I think it's a great way to sort of actually drive people to work together. Will an org all focus on copper one night and all focus on something else the next
Hmm.
night? And yeah, it's a lot of sort of holistic gameplay opportunities arising from this.
Yeah, and I think that's the one thing. I mean, I don't understand enough about how they're positioning the event and how it's going to actually play out in live. But what I want to see is what does the end goal look like? Like, I want to see
Yeah,
them generate some sort of competition that makes us want to back Microtech and somebody else want to back Crusader, and us to have sort of this vested interest in making our faction win. Um, and maybe that's just for fun. I mean, it's a perfectly viable answer to say it's all just for fun. And do you want to uh, get your faction that you backed ahead? But also, I think there's an opportunity there for some sort of incentivization, because otherwise the incentive is there to get 2,400 SCU, I think it is. If you deliver 2,400 SCU, you cap out and you get all the rewards. So I would like to see something which is like inspiring me to give up the rewards for the other ones because I want to just pile as many SCU onto the one I'm backing as possible. But
can
that's
I pitch you an idea?
oh yeah, pitch away.
So this is what I thought they could do. This I think this would be quite fun. Now it all revolves around Hurston winning, for the simple fact that in Hurston they have incredible large giant statues of the family, the founding family, right? That run the whole
Indeed.
place. How about like a 200-foot copper statue of one of them? And this is why they suddenly need all the resources, right? Because we've got to build this statue.
I like how maybe it should be
Great.
all the other factions want it to deal with the regen crisis, but Hurston
Yeah, yeah,
are
yeah.
just refusing to let them have any of the resources because they want to build a new, even bigger statue of one of their family members. I'm all
Yeah,
for
yeah.
that.
And also, if it'd be so good, right? And why don't we position it right next to the extra large hangar bays? So when we get turbulence, you just get slammed into the thing. But it's
Exactly.
your problem because you're in Hurston, right? You
Yeah.
shouldn't be leaving. You shouldn't be going from
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So
it's actually got a big net on it to prevent anyone leaving Hurston.
the Great Hurston roof is actually we're building. Yeah, that's what we're building here. But like, I totally agree. There needs to be something a bit silly, something a bit fun. You could write into the lore about why we need this, and I would love if there was some after the event's over, maybe in the next patch. It doesn't have to be instant, but if there was some visual thing that we could see going forward into the future of SC, be like, actually, I vaguely helped build that massive
Yeah,
dude over there. It would be. It doesn't have to be a guy, but like, yeah, it'd be good. We need something more than just I've got skin on my account. I can't really remember what from. I think we've all got that from Xenofret or Siege of Orison back in the day. It doesn't exactly you know, doesn't exactly make you think about it, but it'd be much less than actually
yeah.
a big community-driven result reward.
Yeah, sort of the skins and stuff do fold into one a little bit after you've acquired
Yeah.
Luminalia skins and things from 5 years, and yeah, you forget what's from what, and you rarely use a lot of the stuff. That's one thing I do sort of
Yeah.
find. But no, it would be cool to see the game world evolve in some way to in direct as a direct result of the actions of the players. I think that's something that CIG talked way back about, sort of when they were talking about if sort of an area saw lots of people doing missions, then you would see the economy develop and the benefits of that. Meanwhile, if there was loads of piracy in an area, you'd see more derelict outposts and there'd be more villains around to go and kill until people came along and dealt with those. And that sort of fluctuating game world, I think, really sets MMOs apart as a genre. So no, so along with that, we are getting a new mission type, which I think is worth talking about in isolation.
It's quite cool.
Yeah, so it's like the support ship one, where it's effectively escort. And I think this is sort of an evolution of the protect ship contracts, isn't it? So it's like, can you actually help this ship get away? A lot of people have been always complaining. A lot of people have been complaining on the industrial side that they can never hire escorts. I've also heard people complain on the combat side that they never get hired, that nobody wants to pay them for this sort of thing. So at least from a PvE perspective, you start to get that sort of gameplay in the game.
Yeah, but presumably their red light wasn't on. That's why they haven't been hired yet. But
I
I
was
imagine they'll...
I was thinking through having said unable to hire escorts. I was like, shit.
It's like, hang on a minute, he's opened a can of worms here.
Yeah. Gone as red as my Coke can now. Thanks.
Yeah. But it's it was when we had the rescue beacons, I really enjoyed them because it was an excuse to, it's ironic in a game that's all about space and jumping between areas, that whenever you need to do a mission, it's very much right here for 5 minutes and then you can leave and the mission's achieved. Like, you're never going from point A to point B with escort or it's carrying something, right? Like, except for cargo trading, obviously. So yeah, this is a good change. Yeah, as I said, we had the rescue beacons. Turns out they're great for griefing, as I think we've seen lots in the community when they first came out. Obviously, back to CitizenCon, we said we're going to have the whole rating system, so you can see, is this guy always actually just opening a beacon and killing me? But yeah, to start off with some PvE sides of it, I think should be really good fun actually.
Yeah.
I just sort of have questions around how does this work? Do I quantum with the person, or is it quite literally I go to the site and follow them for 30 kilometers or whatever while they get attacked?
Yeah, I think it's more so. You know how in the protect ship missions, you're dealing with a stationary. I want to say target, but target client for you to protect, and it's basically that ship is stationary. You warp in. You're keeping the bad guys off him while he gives you some voice lines about repairing his drive, and occasionally shouts, "Where are you going?" at you. Just because I clearly was chasing the buccaneer that was about to kill you, mate. So I think what they're moving towards is the ships will actually move, and so it's a little bit more dynamic.
Groundbreaking.
I do assume that they will warp away at the end of a timer if you've kept them alive. But I think the key thing there as well is, even though like these new missions in isolation seem very small, I think the way they fold into other stuff, because we sort of saw from the patrol missions, those aren't really an isolated mission type. They are chaining existing mission types. So the more mission types you add, the more chance you have for random encounters, and it's the randomness, I think, of the patrol missions which make them way more immersive, because you don't quite know what mission type is coming next. So I think the more you build the base mission types, the more they can then exponentially grow into more engaging content, which I think is really good. You mentioned,
And on the point of engaging content, oh sorry,
no, you
that's
go.
the one thing I sort of in areas of sort of PVE, the pitfall that CIG I think starts to fall into a little bit. You can see a lot of ERT contracts is when the enemy's a reclaimer, just to sort of slow you down and killing them. So I'd really like it if what's attacking the patrols it actually seems vaguely feasible. You're talking a Corsair at most, so that's sort of like a raiding party composition. It'd be great if it's not extreme escorts and it's just quite literally, oh look, 2890 jumps have come to attack, and now I have to slowly deal with them for the next half an hour.
Yeah.
Which it starts to do a bit more. Yeah. Which,
Nice.
PV's there are some nice credit making game loops in there, but I think they're typically one of the ones that get hit first with the massive caps on profit per hour, and it's sort of a shame because it sort of pushes people to other areas. So yeah, it'd be nice if that wasn't done in this situation.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier about the Volt shotgun, and we can probably get
Oh, yeah.
We can probably get a 2-for-1 and lean a little bit ahead to 4.3 as well, because we've got 2 new Volt weapons: the Volt pistol and the Volt sniper rifle is going to be so pistol with 4.2.1 and the Volt sniper with 4.3. Now, I am in love with the Volt rifle. I think it is just amazing. But herein lies my question. Is this power creep? Because I have heard, I haven't tried one yet, but I have heard that the Volt pistol is kind of a 2-tap on a lot of stuff.
Right. That was Yeah, it was going to be my opener on this topic actually. Around CIG's really bad at balancing the Volt weapons, like catastrophically bad. So, when the Volt shotgun was on the PTU for 4.2, it was ridiculous. It's come out, and quite frankly, the only reason why it's vaguely okay is because everyone's picking it up on a really hot planet and overheating every time they fire it. But if you're anywhere else, the Volt shotguns are ridiculously strong. We had the Volt SMG. When that thing came out, it was the best SMG by far. Like, there was zero reason to take any other gun apart from maybe a sniper. When the Volt rifle came out, it was the best rifle in the game. Yeah, it's fair to say there's probably some questions to be had around the new weapons releases. Is it power creep? Is it poor balancing? Well, it's interesting, right? So when the Dead Rig shotgun came out, I think for me that was the first time where I saw proper a pay to win example of this gun was only available if you purchased the System Compact for that year, and it could 2-tap anyone, any armor in the game. You couldn't find it in loot bunkers. Whereas all these Vault weapons have come in, and you can actually get them everywhere. They're not impossible to find. So I guess there's the whole argument that yes, it is power creep for sure, but you can just get it for free. And the fact that now they don't disappear when you die means you only need to find one, log off to menus because that's still a thing, and it's yours forever. So it's not terrible, but yeah, it's definitely power creep.
Yeah. And I think one thing they do work as is an incentive to go to the new areas. So CIG have clearly sticking the SMGs at Hathor and the rifles at Hathor when Hathor was the new thing, sticking the Prism shotguns at the worm locations and the pre-bases, the Pharaoh's data centers that you have to hit. It's sort of it's another layer, right? I want to go to this place because it's new, but even if I don't, I want to go because I want to get this cool new gun, and that's a little thing they can pull as an extra lever. People should go here because this is the site that needs testing, essentially, and we are, in many ways, incentivized test dummies to push around, as CIG think. So yeah, just one last thing.
So what we could do?
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah,
I got another pitch for you here, right? Okay. Hurston won
Ben
won the
on Shark
competition.
Tank is going to be the title of this.
Right,
episode.
here we are. I'm looking for 4.5 million AUEC for this one. Good stuff. Hurston's won. Giant statue, right? Big net, all that jazz. Giant hand. What's on the center of the hand? The
Giant
new
Volt pistol. Giant Volt pistol shoots
see?
down the ships that try
Giant
and leave
Volt
Hurston. Excellent.
Yeah.
Who needs a net?
It's another win. It's another win. We shoot, we score.
2 for 2. 2 for 2 on Ben's Shark Tank pitches for this evening. Just before we
Been a
go
real
on to
windfall.
4.3, though, there is one other big change that I would highlight for 4.2.1, and that's that we can officially do a 5-gun salute for the funeral that is Wicklow RNG. Thank you, devs.
Good times.
It was so annoying. It was so unbelievably annoying. Sat there when we did the 48-hour Polaris, doing my 7th hand in for Anna Endro armor, hoping to get one set of legs out of 7 hand-ins and getting another set of like arms, I think it was, or another core, and just being like, because I love all the other stuff. Like obviously, a lot of the focus with Wicklow has been on the ships, but actually the armors are really cool. The guns are pretty cool.
Yeah.
And but it's especially in regard to the ships. The you put a lot of work in to get one hand in for those things, and then for it to be a case of, oh well, sorry you got a Taurus when you wanted an F8, but
Unlucky.
them's the breaks. Go and get another set of hand-ins. And yeah, so the move to make the armor sets one hand-in for an entire set of armor is really strong. But moving to
Yeah.
4.3, another good thing, which I think is going to definitely impact Wicklow, is that they're looking at mission localization. So the ability to pick up certain missions based on just a location that you are at. And immediately that's going to make sense for Wicklow, right? In terms of why when I'm at the Dazi station, does he turn around and say, come out and see me at Kinger over near Microtech? It felt like you were just bouncing around for the sake of it. But do you think those sort of localized missions are going to feed into other stuff though? In terms of they did talk a while ago about sort of a move away from just the magic contract manager that just lights up with every job in the system anywhere that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a step in the right direction of encouraging you to go to new places to actually discover new content. In my mind, part of me wonders if this, well, it's a game, so it will. If this will just turn into like another min max loop of, you always should go to that guy at that data center, and he'll always give you the best contract. So it'd be good to have some sort of way to change it around. But yeah, I think definitely, the idea of that Wicklow, where you may find like a Wicklow formative, something like that at one of the sites, like, oh, actually, I could give you this color bolt shotgun as an example, or you can have this different modifier. If there's methods to genuinely keep it random, that would be good fun. And then to put my other hat on for a second, that would be genuinely annoying if I'm logging on and just trying to get something done. So sort of it's another time sink, really, isn't it? But yeah, like for example, with the large data centers, there's so much opportunity there. And I know we'll come on to some new events there as well. But it would be good to have them fleshed out more instead of just an empty box full of guys trying to kill you. Actually, it would be good
Mm-hmm.
sort of actually say, people come and say, "Oh, well, by the way, our break room's fresh out of Crow's Lux. If you could bring us some of that, please." And
Yeah.
then you just really get into the wider reputation system, which CIG has spoken about so many times, and these sort of sub guilds and the main guild, I believe is the correct term for them.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I think that's what we need. Really.
I definitely don't know enough to correct you on that, so you're good. Guilds and sub guilds.
I'll
That's
take
what
the
we're
win.
going with.
Yeah, that's the official terminology. Right in.
I guess the big headline one from 4.3 has got to be that we've got to stop calling in contested zones CZs or CZs, because now we're going to have cooperative zones as well, and it's going to get really confusing. Could they not have? This is my one criticism here, because I'm really excited for this, and I think it's, yes, excellent, perfectly what we need. But could you have called
Yeah.
it something that didn't reduce down to CZ? Because CZ is contested zone, but now it's just
Now it's two.
now we mean two things at opposite ends of the same spectrum. So it's gonna get incredibly confusing.
when you're rocking up to your puzzle night with a shotgun and a grenade launcher. Someone's like, mate, I think
Yeah,
you've misread the room, buddy.
yeah. You
Yeah,
misread the room, and you are in Pyro, and the wrong side of the
yeah, yeah.
wormhole. So, but aside from the name choice and naming conventions, these cooperative zones, and it's still. I'm still not quite sure how they're going to look. They definitely mentioned things like puzzle solving and things. One of my queries is there still going to be a degree of combat to it? Um, and obviously the big question here is, so you've said they are PvE zones. How do you make them PvE zones?
Precisely. Yeah, yeah. This, in my mind, there's this worry that it will just be an answer. So I don't think that will be the answer. I really don't. I'd like to think if we're moving to a method of localized contracts, you're quite literally meeting your the contract offerer at the door and says, "Oh, by the way, can't have any guns in here, whatever." Like this is this is an active facility. We've got people working here. Even though in hindsight, I just said that I think these are derelict zones, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah,
So there's no one working. So, well, that's already backfired. If it's derelict, I definitely bring a gun. Just pointing that one out.
yeah.
But yeah, how do you make sure no one's going to stab you in the back at some point if there's loot at the end of that? And also, how do you make sure I can't just sit outside the facility and wait for you to do to do the mission? So yeah, we're sort of falling into the same sort of problem we're having with the worm events, which is when the lifts work. As soon as you've got all the teeth on the lift and send it down, you can just log to menus, and this is where I think this is sort of a wider problem, right? So you want to make something safe from PvP, great, good idea, but how do you just remove all the risk entirely of? Can I just? Do you think it's okay just to store stuff at the site, log off, and wait to an empty server to transport it back?
Nah, I'll be honest. Nah, I'm generally of the opinion of course, sort of escape exit to menus is fine if that's your literal only option off a site. But
Yeah,
just the situation where like your ship got blown up by some turrets on the way in. I'm generally in that situation. I'd prefer to put a call out to my mates and say, stranded on this planet, can I get a pickup? But, sometimes it's 11 o'clock at night and you've got work the next day, and yeah, then it's fine for an escape exit to menus. I think it's a crutch. Doing
okay.
things like yeah, and I'm careful not to throw shade at anyone or for people to view it as that's what's happening. However, it is a crutch, right? Because it's not going to work long term in the game. If you escape exit to menus in Star Citizen 1.0 or whenever they say this is the finished product, this is what we wanted. You look at features like how your character is just going to stay where it is, and next time you log in, you're going to be there. And I don't think what we're going to see long term is the ability to look down your friends list and find that server that's only got 50 people on it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so it's kind of like, yeah, I can understand it from the perspective of like I've done this thing, I've got the loot, and I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get it out, or I want to come back with more people, etc., or I want to come back when it's a bit quieter. But it's part of the skill building is doing the full loop, doing the full extraction, that sort of thing. I do, however, think that they need to really think about, we want a PvE experience out of this.
Yeah.
How do we make that a PvE experience without forcing people to resort to things like exiting to menus at the end of it? Give us loads of exits, so it's hard to pin down where somebody's going to come out of it. Like, why can't I exit into a hangar where I can call my ship and load it up and at least be ready to like fly out like a bat out of hell? Like, give people a chance, right? Like, because that's one of the most annoying things, isn't it, about sort of events like the Worm? You have to leave your ship to go in, there's no guarantee that your ship's going to be there when you come back. So
Yeah, it's the moment you get the message saying you have left channel and then the name of your ship, it's like, oh, okay, cool. So I can't leave anymore.
yeah.
So I can no longer get the teeth tonight, effectively, or I need to wait for people to get online. And in reality, it's not quick, right? And it's actually time is a limiting factor for all of these nights, really. So,
So I
but
do
at the
hope
same
these
time,
locations are they've thought about that a bit. Like give us a hangar to land in, because they do it at the distribution centers. They've got hangars and things. So
yeah,
give us somewhere to land in, to store our ships, to return to at the end of the loop, to come back out of, and then yeah, that's your entry and exit point from the world of PvPvE into the PvE sectioned off bit. But it'll be interesting to see how they enforce it. I just really hope, fingers crossed, it's not like one of these hope things. Like
yeah,
CIG seem to have some people employed who have far greater belief in humanity than I do, and than has been proven by the game. Like,
yeah,
give us
exactly.
give us something to fight for and the ability to fight for it, and we will fight for it. Is the message that CIG should have got loud and clear. So they should be thinking, my mind, about how do we stop these ragamuffins fighting so much? If we want
These
to
cheeky
create
scoundrels.
these cheeky scoundrels, how do we stop them doing that PvP? So, yeah.
So, I mean, in regards to in this perfect world where the PvPs are working, no one's going to die here, at least from another player. Yeah, I think it's a good caveat that there may be other methods to die.
Mhm.
I can't wait for puzzles, right? I actually genuinely really am looking forward to. I love PvP, but the idea of you're on a level playing field of like you don't need to worry about being shot in the back, and you can as a group actually go through a puzzle game sounds genuinely so fun. So
Yeah.
I know this is a very very small example, but sort of like Titanfall 2 had like different wall jumping puzzles you had to do at
Mhm.
points, and I love Titanfall. So for me, it was like this is sick. It was a very simple puzzles in reality, but yeah, so many opportunities.
So the one thing which I got, like, so I absolutely love doing the prison escape. That was so much fun to like learn and do that parkour jump puzzle. However, I've done it once. I've practiced it. I can now do that over and over again and speed run it. And it does have fun from the perspective of speed running it and seeing how quickly you can get out. But it's not exactly a repetitive challenge. And so the one thing which I do sort of think, particularly since puzzle games when we were kids were like I'm probably dating myself here, but like on the Sega Mega Drive, on the N64, when you got puzzles in games like Zelda, it was a genuine challenge because for the most part it was just you against the game, unless you paid for the extremely expensive Nintendo hotline to help you beat the level. Which you did not want to be in the room when your dad got the phone bill, put it like that. But the thing is, in the time we live in now, I just really hope that there's enough rotation to the puzzles, enough randomization of it, to make it something that you have to get into the game, you have to see what's in front of you, and solve it, as opposed to it just being, right, I've watched this guide on the 4 things it could be, and now I know how to do it and I speedrun it.
Yeah, I mean that. So when they first showed off hacking gameplay, and obviously that sort of disappeared for now, but I'm sure it'll reappear. You had this sort of it's almost like a minesweeper. I want to say where you sort of had to get your sort of point from A to B through different parts of the maze. And I feel like there's a great opportunity in these sites to do any puzzles on iPads effectively, which could be a lot more just fluid every single time. You'd think it. Not don't know anything about coding, but I feel like it could be too hard to make it sort of vaguely randomized every single time. We'll have hundreds of possible solutions because you're dead right. It's I've got nothing against people who memorize events, and it's super useful. when you need to do it. But there's something really disheartening about when you get your group together, you get to a site, and someone goes, "Oh, okay, this is one of 7 possibilities. There's a dude there, which means there has to be this one. So just go in that room over there." It's like, "Oh, okay, I sort of didn't really log on for
Yeah.
like a just a
But
speed run
for
all the
you to
time."
do it for me, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
exactly.
yeah. So I remember on Siege of Orison, first time going on, I was like, no, I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to see if I can work my way through this.
Hmm.
Ironically, I never got to the end of Siege of Orison, so maybe I should have followed
Oh, you
someone.
did. You never
Yeah.
made it to the end. Oh, sad times.
I feel like not. I feel like not in the first patch. Yeah, there was just yeah, other goals because PvP was quite prevalent in that event as well, even though
Yeah,
it really
yeah.
shouldn't have been. So yeah, I had a side quest to fulfill, but yeah, it's just it needs to be it needs to have proper variations to be interesting. And I mean, I just don't know how do you make. I don't know how you do that. To be honest, what sort of puzzles you could do to get multiple people engaged. Do they also want it to be soloable as well, or have they said they want it to be for groups? Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
got question
I
marks.
think judging by the name cooperative, I think these should be things which are uh, encourage more than one person to do it. I'm
Yeah,
also sure somebody is going to find out how to solo it, but there's even things like just creating puzzle stuff where somebody has to stand somewhere in order for you to also open the door over. So you can create quite
yeah,
easily situations which require at least two people. Um,
yeah,
I think because they do mention that the sites are going to be on every moon in Stanton, and you do sort of think like if you have sites plural on every moon in Stanton, and then if those sites are maybe multifaceted, so there's more than one entrance point that we can go into, you do have a lot of potential variation, a lot of potential sites to keep
yeah,
it varied over. So that replayability factor should be there at least for the start of it. Um, but yeah, it just remains to be seen whether they can do any clever randomization stuff off the back of it, just to keep it lively. Just and that's sort of the thing, like particularly with puzzle content. I want that challenge, like being in an escape room with your mates that you have to actually, because escape rooms are a great example for it, right? Like I quite enjoy going to an escape room with my friends. You don't go back to the same
have
one
fun.
twice. you know, you
Just
wouldn't.
speed run the escape room.
Yeah,
They will never
yeah.
see this coming.
I feel like I would get such good value for money paying like 30 quid to go and be like, haha, it was. Yeah, oh, look at this switch I found behind the lab coat. Oh yeah, we're through. So it's just a bit of a getting that balance. I think is always going to be a bit of a challenge. Um, but really, the final one I've got from the list for 4.3 um, is we get the first of the armor types that were showcased at
Yes. Oh
CitizenCon.
God, yeah.
So, German viewers, please either cover your ears or let me know that I've mispronounced this horribly in the comments. But I'm pretty sure it's the Geist
They'll
sniper
let you
armor.
know.
Yeah, one way or t'other, they'll let me know. But yeah, the Geist sniper armor looks to be a sort of light armor focused on stealth of things. I I am really excited for these armor sets and for the various ones that we saw
Yeah,
at SitCon because I think in an MMO without classes, you need something which encourages the classic MMO where you had like your hard coded classes of tank, healer, range DPS, mage. You you were forced in a way to play with other people, and then it's the push you need to realize that it's fun. Star
yeah,
Citizen doesn't have those classes, and I think personally that these armor types do give you that, which I just wish we had them for the worm. I'll be honest.
yeah, yeah. It'd be really cool. And if you look around when you're doing if you're having a big group for a ship battle, and you're making your squad, you're actually picking some light fighters, some heavy fighters that can do specific roles, maybe a capital ship because they're mandatory at the moment. There is a level of granularity that you have to go through when building your composition. When you look at a ground team right now, it's quite literally, let's all just bring an FS9, let's all just bring a massive backpack so we can loot more stuff, or maybe not FS9, but whatever's functioning in the right patch, probably a bolt weapon.
Yeah.
But everyone bring every bolt weapon. It's fine. Go get it from the big copper hand. It's fine, but it could be so much better, right? Like I've never logged on and gone, oh, it's really boring, and asking everyone to bring whatever the meta weapon is. There's never been a problem in that. But in a world where actually you have to put in maybe 10% more brain power to actually think, what do we need for this environment? And also sometimes you then don't have the right stuff, so then you have to adapt to it on the fly, which is just so much more enjoyable. And it's all about just keeping things fluid. So yeah, getting these classes will be really, really good. I can't wait to see, what was it called, the leader who just walks around in a leather jacket, just being a dude.
Don't forget, you got to have your neck tattoos as well. The neck tattoos have
the worm,
special power.
Worm.
Yeah. I was at sitcom and I was sat next to one of our friends, Flint, and I must have been really annoying the person sat in front of me because I was basically just leaning over to Flint, just going, "It's gonna be the worm. It's gonna be the." He's going, "No." I was like, "The guy's tattoo is literally a worm," and then the worm burst out, and I was just like, "Yes, vindicated." So.
Just stood up and walked off. Like, I already know this event.
I won. I win.
Yeah. CIG, I'll see you next year. Thank you very much.
But it's also I think how it feeds into crafting and stuff, because then it's more incentive to go out, get the blueprints for these various armor types, and that sort of gives you, it's let's go and find all of these so that we have that versatility, and then the long-awaited, finally useful suit lockers on board our spaceships.
Soon.
I mean, 1.0 probably. But
it's always funny, right? Because every now and again, someone puts on Spectrum, I've made a suit locker, and you just cram an NPC into the locker and put your armor on it. And that's kind of the answer, surely. Just build a mannequin-looking NPC who can't move. It always baffles me that why don't we have suit lockers? And if someone knows, if there's like a real tech reason, I'd genuinely love to know, because it's like you keep there's an issue in any space game that in reality ships need pipes, they need wiring, they need coolant, they need all these ducts in the background. Whereas in space digital games, none of this stuff needs to be there. So CIG sort of has to think of random things sometimes just to fill up the space and just bloat areas, really.
Yeah.
Suit lockers are a great example. We get them stuffed everywhere. And right now they're just kind of wasted space. So if you could make them work, it would add so much validity to so many of these ship designs and actually sort of use even more space up. So it just, I'd love to know. Someone knows, please say.
Well, I think the thing as well, because they've often sort of told about, there's the buffs to wearing certain types of armor, but it also brings in the potential for debuffs. And we've seen like little bits of that with using or choosing not to use the Sterling suit. Buffs, I don't have to worry about radiation. I don't have to worry about heat. Debuffs, it's clunky. I'm sacrificing visibility, sacrificing durability versus heavy armor. I don't have my crosshair like hit markers, and I got like less med pen slots. So that's just a little example of like how your choices influence, and there's positives and negatives. I think once you move into the realm of having like really well defined armor sets, you've also got the potential for those armor sets to come with debuffs. So your heavy tanky armors being absolutely incapable of flying a ship in them. And then, but before that happens, you do really have to have things like the functionality of those suit lockers, because you need to be able to be like, right, I'm taking off my heavy armor gear. I'm going to be, I'm negatively impacted in terms of if this ship gets boarded. I'm I'm going to be struggling to defend it. But then that's going to let me fly the ship, and then you'll get those, I would think, really immersive cinematic moments where it's like, your Idris is getting boarded, and then all of a sudden the armory has a use. It's like everybody is just dashing to the armory. Quick, we've got to put on the good FPS gear. We've got to pick up our weapons because we can't just sit down in a chair with those strapped to our back, poking through the fabric anymore. And yeah, sort of it lends, like, even quite like before we realised we could just quite easily run the Pharaoh sites medgunning scientists. Sort of when we were trying to do it actually dressed up as scientists, it's all of a sudden the pistol has use. Pistols that you don't use too much. It's like, oh yeah, this pistol I can actually equip to normal clothes. And therefore, I'm not constantly dropping my gun every time I pick anything else up. So yeah, it just brings more choices into the game, which I think is always a good thing in this type of genre.
No, definitely. And you look at the to go back to the stealth armor edition. There's sort of in my mind a sort of a question of what's it actually going to do? What's the buffs actually going to be right now? Because it's not going to make you invisible, I'd imagine. You're still going to appear on, out looking out the glass of out the glass of a ship, and unless we have ground scanners or some sort of, I'm sort of thinking in plays Rainbow Six Siege pulse of his heartbeat detector, so I can maybe see the guys with heavy armor. I can hear them through the wall. What am I getting from this armor? I'm not sure how they're going to implement that without a much more refined system.
Yeah. So I think, don't quote me on it, I think the idea is FPS scanning. So certain armor sets should have FPS scanning built into them, and that this type of armor would be more stealthy versus that. So yeah, it's like basically if someone turns up with the wall hacking armor, you might be immune to the wall hacking, that sort of thing. So
Yeah, that seems the best.
But yeah, it does seem to be sometimes CIG do put the horse before the cart, and they'll bring in like this stealth suit. And it's like, what's it stealth against? Nothing in game right now.
But soon,
Yeah.
Here's your data running herald. What data does it move?
Uh,
An email, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah, come back to me on that one. Yeah,
Nothing was ever quite as bad as the Reclaimer at first. So many patches was just a glorified FPS level and paperweight until it finally got gameplay.
not a very good FPS level either. One ladder, one lift to the bridge.
Yeah.
Incredible design for FPS.
At least the Starfarer's a good FPS level because everybody just immediately gets lost. And then it's like nobody knows their way around a Starfarer, even with the better new map. That's my official belief.
Yeah. I love the start. I know they're talking about obviously reworking at some point to make it more usable. I'm not sure if they've already done that for Squadron, but I think it should be mad. It's meant to be like a floating oil rig was like the original idea. So, picking up all these materials. Think, yeah, it should be a bit more complicated. It should be like a part. But granted, it's a bit bad. Maybe a little bit too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is the classic one of, because they didn't have a use for it in game, they used it to generate FPS content. But then good FPS maps and good ships for actually using as ships are not the same thing.
Very different. Very, very different. Yeah. And it's on the topic of ships, something that's not in the roadmap, but I think got a hats off to CIG at the moment. The amount of rebalancing they're doing for 4.2.1 on just changing ship archetypes. So last episode we touched on so the Idris being a bit of a problem, sort of actually seeing a few changes maneuverability, larger ships like the Connies are having nerfs as well. I mean that in itself is a whole video. There are so many ship changes going on, but the Ion's being changed again. Really happy to say, wonderful. Sure,
is it a positive or negative?
It's positive actually. They're buffing its maneuverability slightly, which is nice because the island is in such a good place. I almost want to make my third video on it in its current form. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. But yeah, just hats off for actually, sometimes the community sort of speaks quite loudly about if a ship's not right or wrong, and I think it's good that they're just sort of plowing through and making these changes over time to see what works and what doesn't. So yeah,
Mhm.
really looking forward to seeing hopefully a more rounded system where the F7A isn't the go-to for everything,
Yeah,
and it'd be nice to see the F8C back in some format maybe
that would be
if you could
good.
get it in game. So
That would be
things
good.
like that.
I do have to say, I am a sucker for that F7A, but like it just looks so cool. I think I would be the guy
Yeah, it
flying the
does.
F7A even after they nerf it into the ground and make it a completely pointless ship. I'll still be making it work because it's so fun to fly. It's so good looking. So definitely my preferred ship. Although I am a big fan of the F8 as well. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I think
just
I think as ever, it's just a case of remembering that these things are constantly gonna be in flux, and so I never advise people on what ships to buy because it's yeah, one, I think you can do everything with a starter pack, and you really should,
yeah,
if you're starting the game, start with a starter pack because it will make you a better pilot. So even if you do,
yeah.
like many people, go down the line of buying bigger ships, then starting out your game in an Aurora or a Mustang when you first learn will make you better overall. But then the other reason I never give advice on like what ship is good or good value or anything like that is because none of it is set in stone. It will change. And if you're buying a ship because it is meta, then I think the only realistic thing is that at some point it won't be. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, you're dead right. Won't go down the advice route, but you are right. The FPS ships have historically not been the best long-term goal
yeah,
for enjoyment, so to speak. We've sort of gone
rule,
through a few changes, but
rule of cool though.
I always try to, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Find what looks cool. I flew the Ion on its worst day. I flew it on its best
yeah.
day. I still love that bloody ship. It's
You'll
so good.
you'll be the guy who, like, if the Ion is absolute peak meta, I won't judge for flying it. I'll be like, I remember
Yeah.
Ben flying this thing begrudgingly when it was absolute words I probably shouldn't say. But like, you stuck with that thing. You deserve its day in the sun. So
Ah, yeah, it will be back. It's sort of back now. It's the best way to kill an Idris right now if you
mm.
take away cap ships. Get a fleet of ions. So it's I know it's not even vaguely the topic, but I'm very happy.
Hey, we like a good detour on this podcast. That's what podcasts are all about. So we have got to the end of the 4.3 and the 4.2.1 features, but yeah, it'd be really cool for people to let us know down in the comments what they're looking forward to, and indeed if we missed anything that's on the release view that you've been screaming at the screen. What about X? Please do let us know down below. We always read all of the comments. It's great to see people get involved in these discussions. So Ben, where can everybody find you elsewhere on the internet?
Funny you should ask about that. Let me tell you. You could go to my YouTube channel. I think it's MasterBen10, or my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/MasterBen10. At some point, there will be content. I've actually been working on a video this week, so
Oh,
maybe
excellent.
come December, I'll have something out.
We
Yeah,
look
yeah,
forward to
it'd be
this
great.
in 3 to 6 months. But yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be
Yeah,
awesome.
that's the one. That's the one.
Right.
Yeah. How about yourself, Loud?
I'm actually going to change these. I'm going to change these slightly for myself. So you will just find me on YouTube
Okay.
at LoudGuns. But I will. By the time this goes live, I will have done a stream. But that will also just be on YouTube because I'm too dumb to do multi-streaming. So yeah, I'll probably scrub out my Twitch one because yeah, I'm just gonna focus 100% on here. I've got to think of something to do on this stream. Maybe I'll just draw around some more in my Idris. Maybe I'll decorate my Idris. Yeah. Who knows? But yeah, it'll probably just be chatting and playing a bit of random SC.
That sounds quite fun. You could do sort of like a arts and crafts session, designing the giant copper statue for Hurston. I think there's just get the concept art going early.
I think if you saw my artistic skills, you would know that this would not make a good stream. Be like LoudGuns.
Maybe
LoudGuns draws stick figures with gold pen would be how that would go down. So.
Nice. Well, that's what we need. Yeah.
But yeah, I think we'll wrap that up there. But yeah, please do drop a like if you enjoyed it, and hit subscribe to the channel, because we are very, very close to 1,000 subscribers, and that means I get to take MasterBen mining for the first time in Star Citizen. Get to go and pop some rocks.
I have still never mined apart from in prison, or I guess the hole on Athol, but never ship mined, which is kind of bizarre.
We'll be getting in a mole, and we'll be cracking some Quantanium rocks.
There are two things to take away from this stream podcast. One, I hated my intro, and two, I still haven't mined. Nice.
We can make one of those things change.
We can. Yeah.
And also that LoudGuns needs to think very carefully about how to talk about escorting missions. That's the third key takeaway there as well. Yeah. I'm gonna take that one away and think about what else to call those. Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
I mean, the Cutty Red must be good.
I'll call it Roxanne. Yeah. That's
yeah. There you go.
Right, before this goes after hours. Thank you very much for watching, and yeah, we'll look forward to seeing you next time.